The Supreme Court has decided not to rule in two major gerrymandering cases. The court cited procedural faults by Democrats in Wisconsin and Republicans in Maryland. The ruling that the two cases could have stopped the states from drawing congressional maps designed to favor one political party over another. So Ilya Shapiro joins me on the phone. He's a senior fellow at the Cato Institute. First off, Ilya, let's talk about these two different cases. In one case, the Democrats lost. In the other case, the Republicans lost. Let's start with Maryland. What was going on with the Maryland case?
Well, in Maryland, that's where the Democrats control the majority in the legislature, and they drew districts advantageously to themselves. And so a group of Republican voters brought an interesting type of claim, a First Amendment claim, that they were being discriminated against based on their political beliefs. The lower court denied them an injunction, basically said, okay, we'll proceed to trial. And it's on that basis that it got to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court said, look, the law in this area is murky. We recognize it's unclear exactly what was going on, probably didn't meet the standard for an injunction, but let the case continue. We'll just let it go, see what happens at trial, and who knows, maybe in the future it'll come back up. But for now, the unanimous court said no injunction. The map stays for now pending trial.
And now the Wisconsin case.
In the Wisconsin case, this was an earlier one. They granted that about a year ago. It was one of the first cases argued this term, last fall. And here the Republicans had the majority in the state, and they drew districts that, even though Wisconsin's fairly evenly split, the Republicans had a sizable majority in the state legislature. And the voters were saying, who sued, including a law professor and others, that this whole map, not a particular district necessarily, but the whole map used partisan considerations improperly to dilute the votes of Democratic voters. Now, that sounds a little similar to what the Republicans in Maryland were saying, the plaintiffs there, but nevertheless, here the lower court did grant an injunction, meaning telling the state to redo its maps, and on that basis it went to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court punted. It said that the plaintiffs here didn't sufficiently allege their own standing, meaning that they didn't show how exactly they specifically were harmed, not general theories about the map or districting or gerrymandering, but how they themselves were harmed. And it's giving them, the court is, another bite at the apple, sending it back down. The plaintiffs can add more evidence or make other claims, and we're basically starting the process over with. So
here you have two cases where the Supreme Court is sort of sniffing around the issue of partisan gerrymandering, but really not addressing the constitutionality of it. Why do you suppose that is?
Well, the Supreme Court has never had a majority to put in some sort of standard about how the use of political considerations, not racial, not anything else, but purely political considerations, what the Constitution might have to say about that. 20 years ago was the previous case out of Pennsylvania, and Justice Kennedy was the swing vote and said, no, I don't accept this challenge, but maybe in the future there might be some workable standard about wasted votes or voter efficiency or who knows what. And so these are these attempts to get the court to establish some sort of standard, and the court really, I guess, for internal reasons, can't do it, can't establish anything, and so they're basically letting these cases go on, effectively deciding not to decide the real constitutional cases. Who knows, maybe the dynamic will be different if and when Justice Kennedy leaves the court and whoever he's replaced by, but for now, the Supreme Court is essentially saying we're going to let the state political process continue working as it has, and lower courts, do the best you can. We're not going to give you very much guidance.
Now, is there another gerrymandering case in the Supreme Court pipeline? They're expected to hear another one?
It hasn't been granted yet.
Okay.
I know there are other cases coming up from North Carolina, some other states, but unclear whether the court would so quickly after punting on these want to take up something else.
All right, understandable. All right, Ilya Shapiro, thank you so much.
My pleasure. Take care.